This is the Unspoken Podcast on the Undetermined Podcast Network.
You're listening to the Unspoken Podcast, Chiefs Esports production part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. It's episode 39. I can't believe we're nearly at 40 episodes.
God help us all.
God help you all that you will have to listen to the voices of me and Nick Federa and Nick Morganson when he's on forever and ever and ever and ever.
And ever. Amen.
Thank God you don't have to pay for us.
All right. So, guys, I mean, we've got some interesting topics to talk about this week between stuff that's going on in basketball and a certain comment made by a certain football player, but we'll get to all that. But let's give a little update on what's going on in the MLB Playoffs. We had the wild card games, and yesterday we had the game one of the ALDS.
Well, let's take a step back first. So,
okay.
Since we were not on, you guys were not on, we had the wild card games, two very similar wild card games, and pitchers not lasting very long in these games.
I know.
Slugfest, basically.
So Luis Severino, which everyone's going to get on for the Yankees because he went a third of an inning, and the bullpen came in, got 8 2/3, and struck out, I think, 9 or 10 batters, and totally did a masterful job. Give the guy a break. I know he was the ace this season, but he's 23 years old. It's his first postseason game. You're going to have postseason jitters.
I know about that, but it's like there was an argument going on between like a couple of my friends, and basically I feel like I was in the middle where it's like, oh, I don't think he deserves, to be harped on because he was still only the first inning. But there's a point where you have to call a spade, and that was a terrible, terrible outing from Severino at a time when the Yankees didn't need that at that time.
Yeah,
well, It was a terrible outing. I understand it, but at the same time, he's 23. There's no excuse for the bad outing because you totally burned the bullpen, and I think that's why when we talk about game one of the ALCS, which we'll get to in a minute or two, of why the bullpen was a little burnt out, and that's why it forced Sonny Gray to go through almost 4 innings, which is unacceptable that their starters can't get through 4 innings. But I don't know. It's just it's a little concerning.
It's more than a little concerning, I would imagine, because honestly, with what I saw last night, well, let's recap a bit. Trevor Bauer starts in the place of their ace for the Indians, Corey Kluber. And everybody was saying, oh, this is your chance to beat up on him. This is your chance for the Yankees to really do some damage before they have to go through the tidal wave that is Corey Kluber. And he completely shut them down. He didn't give up a hit until the 6th inning, actually. He was working on a no-hitter until the 6th inning. And honestly, I cannot see, both of us, Tom and I, when we did our playoff special on Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday.
We both picked this to be a short series, and it's not going. We both picked the Indians to win this series. And honestly, you know how big Yankee fans that Tom and I are, right, Nick?
Me too.
Well, yeah. I forgot. Actually, all three of us are Yankee fans. But we must look in the face of objective reality in this point. I can't see how the Yankees can get out of this because they've just run into a wall.
And what's funny is Nick Morganson and I both made this comment before that starting Trevor Bauer in game one was a little surprising for us. He was like, oh, we're thinking maybe game one's going to be Carrasco, Kluber, maybe Bauer's going to be game 2 or game 3. But, I mean, this game showed that at times, more than times, Bauer can be a hell of a pitcher, and the Yankees just got dominated.
They got dominated. I was very surprised. I was scratching my head when I heard Trevor Bauer was the game 1 starter.
Oh, did you say you were surprised that the Yankees got dominated?
No, I said I was surprised that they started Trevor Bauer, but I'm not surprised that they got dominated because Cleveland has some of the best pitching in the majors, and I read that they're the number. This was an interesting statistic I heard on the FS1 broadcast last night, which was, or I should say when the game was on, that the Indians were number 3 in all of baseball in the pitching category for breaking balls thrown by their pitchers, and the Yankees are number 2 in all of baseball in pitchers throwing breaking balls. So it didn't surprise me the way the game was going.
They rely on a lot of, when you rely on a lot of power, you can throw the breaking ball because your hitters on the other team will chase it. That's why they keep throwing it.
I also thought that the strike zone was a little shoddy during the game. But that's just my opinion. We Yankee fans like to use that as an excuse, but I don't think. Oh no, I'm not using it as an excuse. I'm saying trust me, Trevor Bauer was masterful last night. As you said, he made it through 6 innings basically with a no-hitter. I'm not taking that away, but there was a few questionable pitches in the strike zone.
True, but even if you take those away, the Yankees would still get dominated.
But do you think they have a chance to at least win a game?
Oh, sure. I think they can win the game. Now, here's what's going to be the interesting point coming up in Game 2, which is, can they, which they haven't done in the past 2 seasons against this guy in Corey Kluber, can they figure out how to hit this guy? He has gone complete games in his last 2 outings against the Yankees.
He has, and he's pitching to something like either a close to 1 or a sub-1 ERA against them.
I think it was 1.28 ERA.
In the last 3 or 4 starts against them?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, the 4-game sweep at Yankee Stadium back in August, I think, was a good harbinger of what is to occur this weekend. Because if you look back into the history, and everybody says, oh, Yankees, Red Sox, I would argue that, me personally as a Yankee fan, I would argue that Cleveland's been a bigger pain in the ass over the last 15 years than, or 20 years at least, than the Red Sox have been.
That's
because
questionable.
We only really have what?
That's questionable.
Oh, yeah, that is questionable.
Why do you think so?
Because Cleveland over the past decade until about 2-3 years ago was a shitty team.
But think about 07. Think about this team is going to get steamrolled this year, and then the fucking midges 10 years ago.
You know what, though? But again, that's making an excuse.
1997.
Right, but that's making an excuse.
How is that making an excuse?
The midges.
That's not making an excuse.
Really? You're bringing back that hot, steamy game in 07 or 08 where Jabba Chamberlain couldn't pitch?
Yes, yes I am. I feel like everything that could go wrong for the Yankees against the Indians in the playoffs does go wrong, whether from better pitching, better hitting, or a tiny army of small bugs, small river bugs. It's going. What?
Wait a second. So let's look at this game for a second. So what was the final score last night? It was
4-0.
4-0? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at the small things, okay? So Jay Bruce, and this was another thing in the broadcast, which apparently they don't follow scouting reports, because they said if you pitch him up in the strike zone higher than high, he won't hit it. What does he do on that at bat? First of all, Sonny Gray doesn't get the pitch up enough. Jay Bruce pulls his hands in and hits a home run. Okay, so if you follow the scouting reports, that doesn't happen.
Yes, but you're missing the point of what I was saying. I believe that the Indians, every time the Indians have met the Yankees, they have been.
But when was the last time the Yankees met the Indians in the playoffs?
The Indians have been the better team every time they've met in the playoffs.
But when was the last time they met in the playoffs?
2007.
10 years ago.
Okay, and before that, it was 90-something.
1997 ALCS, and that was a fucking important game because they hit a walk-off home run against Mariano Rivera, for God's sake.
Nick Federa, are you insinuating that, like how the Giants had the even year thing, the Indians have an every 10 years thing?
I wasn't. That actually is a very good point. I wasn't going to go to that, but that does kind of fit.
This isn't the San Francisco Giants, for crying out loud, okay?
The point that I'm trying to make, it just the wheels always seem to come off the wagon when it comes to playing the Indians in the playoffs. And I believe me, I'm getting to hate fucking Cleveland because they're perfect little fucking team and they're perfect little fucking players and they're perfect little fucking culture and they're perfect little fucking LeBron James. They don't fucking deserve it!
This is becoming a real-life major league.
Too bad there's no Charlie Sheen to show for it.
Also, Major League was not that good.
I guess. Wait a minute. Wait. Hold on.
You say that blasphemy one more time.
Wait a second.
Major League was not that good.
You're an asshole. But what I was going to say is, I guess you could say there was winning. You could say there was winning because they won 22 in a freaking row.
Well, exactly. That is going to be that was actually going to be my point. And first of all,
winning. But still, I'm kidding. I love Major League, but that's not the point.
But here's also my point. Hey, Nate Diaz, would you be surprised if the Yankees ended up getting swept?
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Thank you.
By the way, wait a minute. I don't think they're going to get swept. I think that's very far-fetched, but I think that if they're going to win this series, and this is a long shot, they got to figure out how to beat Corey Kluber today.
They have to figure out how to beat Corey Kluber or Carlos Carrasco. And furthermore, here's the other thing. If you call a spade, whether they win one game or nothing, don't even count the history that Nick Federa was mentioning. This is a Cleveland Indians team that is fucking hot.
Yes, they are fucking hot.
But I think they do have weaknesses. They do have
weaknesses, but the problem is, what did they end up losing? Like only one game within a whole set of games between like 22, 23 games. Here's the problem.
Yeah, I wasn't implying.
Oh, I know you weren't implying. Yeah,
I wasn't implying that it was just sheer, some kind of hex that cursed the Yankees against the Indians. No. The Indians have outplayed them in every single fucking aspect. They outplayed everybody in the majors this season.
You're right. And the point I would make, going back to Terry Francona being one of the best managers in all of baseball, he took a gamble with Trevor Bauer in Game 1, and it paid off because now he's up 1-0 with Kluber on the mound for Game 2. So if that didn't pay off, they still probably would have won Game 2 anyway.
Right. But I'm also saying, if you had Bauer going out and like dominating the Yankees in Game 1, what the hell could Corey Kluber and Carlos Carrasco do? That was a big gamble by Terry Francona, but you know what? It pays off.
Sometimes to win a World Series, you have to take a gamble in life.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I think that is going to become gambling and having it somehow work out, or at least the concept of it's going to happen a lot in the playoffs so far because we've seen. Well, the NL Division Series is they start tomorrow, right?
No, it's actually starting, I think, today.
All right, so we have. Think about what we've seen so far in the Division Series games that have been played. I mean, I expected the Red Sox to win that game last night.
You know what, though? That doesn't surprise me because Houston, like Cleveland and like the Dodgers, all won 100 games this year, okay? So that proves to me that Houston, and first of all, Jose Altuve, who hit the 3 home runs, back-to-back batting champion, maybe MVP this year, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which he probably will be.
Right. And even though I think Aaron Judge might have something to say about that, but
his
who knows?
His second half slump might be a little bit too much for some voters to overcome.
But you're not. But here's the problem. But wait a minute. Here's the problem with the MVP voting. Okay, you don't look at slumps. You don't look at things. You're supposed to look at the numbers. The MVP is the most valuable player for a team, and whoever votes because of a slump, they should lose their vote.
Well, all right, but still, that's not. I think we were all expecting crazy things to happen in the summer in this playoff series. But I think the mantra over what we've seen so far is expect the expected. And it's gone pretty much how we predicted it would be.
Well, here's the thing. Because Nick mentioned the 100 games things. Here's the thing. LA Dodgers are playing tonight. They're starting their series with the Arizona Diamondbacks. And as I said on Sunday, despite LA winning 100-plus games, I see them losing this division series to Arizona. This is the LA Dodgers we're talking about. This is the regular season pitchers, a regular season team. They, for whatever reason, have an LA jinx on them where whenever they get to the NLDS or NLCS, they know how to fuck it up.
I think that's a little far-fetched, and I'll tell you why. Because right now, because Greinke had to start the wild card game, I forgot who the guy was. I think Smith. I don't know the guy's name. Is starting game 1, and then game 2 they don't really have a decisive starter. I heard they might go to Robbie Ray, who came out of the bullpen in the wild card game.
Robbie Ray's still a good pitcher.
Yeah, but he's not a starter.
Their middle relief is very soft and doughy, though.
Right, and first of all,
like donuts.
And I wouldn't trust Rodney at the back of that bullpen. That's just me. But you're not going to see Greinke again until game 3. So you have Kershaw and Smith.
Okay, that is fair, but let's look at the let's look at the Arizona Diamondbacks starting lineup. Dave Peralta, JD Martinez, Paul Goldschmidt.
You're not wrong. Their lineup is fantastic. They have 30 home run hitters, plus JD Martinez, who had 45 home runs and 135-plus RBIs and hit over 300. But hitting is great, but pitching is what dominates the postseason.
Which is, all right, fair. But here's the thing. It's L.A. I'm expecting the LA curse to happen again. Even if they make it past Arizona, when they face whoever wins between Cubs and Washington, they're going to fuck it up.
You're not wrong. I agree with you that they're mostly a regular season team. But against Arizona, they're not going to win. Sorry. Their pitching is too dominant.
I would ask this question, but I think you already answered it for me. What is it that we are expecting to see in the rest of the division series? Because by the time we record the next episode, we'll be into the champion the
ALCS. Yeah.
What do I expect? Well,
not in terms of outcome, in terms of the overall quality and tenor of the games.
I think Arizona's going to put up a fight. Don't get me wrong; their offense is going to keep them in it, but like you said, Nick, their bullpen is not exactly a go-to count-on bullpen like the Yankee bullpen or the Astros bullpen or even the Red Sox bullpen. It's not a count-on. So if you have another crappy start like Zach Greinke, who didn't go very far in the game, your bullpen's going to get compressed. They almost gave the game away in the wild card series.
All right, which is fair, but it was still a competitive matchup between the Diamondbacks and Rockies. The NL West really proved itself to be one of the most competitive divisions in baseball this year, which surprised me. I was surprised.
Yeah, I didn't expect that either.
It was very competitive, but I would say in that wild card game that was Arizona's game to win, and they almost gave it away.
Which is fair.
Yeah, but if you win the game, you're not talking about how you almost lost it.
But I'm saying that it kind of exposed the Arizona bullpen towards the end of the game because they were up by 4, and they almost gave it back.
And do you think the Dodgers have the offense to take advantage of that?
That's kind of the question. So I think they have a great offense. Their pitching is, I would say it's great, but not amazing. I think Darvish is a question mark, even though they got him in a trade.
And Kershaw, let's face it.
Kershaw's a question mark too, believe it or not, and I can't believe I'm saying that. But Kershaw's a question mark in the playoffs because he's had really bad performances.
Yeah, well, you know what it is? It is the standard that you hold yourselves, that the Dodgers hold their pitching to, is not going to be enough. It's great where everybody else is amazing.
I'll say this: if we're going to talk about, the Dodgers' questionable pitching, the question mark of the hitting. I know you guys were talking about the Diamondbacks pitching really can't be trusted too much, especially their bullpen, but their offense is the dominant. So I guess the question would be, which offense is going to do better? And more specifically, like we said, I guess that series is going to come down to how does LA answer with their offense? Do they dominate and end up, taking the series, or do they shit the bed?
By the way.
Same thing with Cubs and Nats, because we haven't talked about that, and that's an important series as well.
Right. I have one point, though. I looked up the Kershaw numbers, by the way. So in the postseason, this is all postseason. So 6 years, 9 series for Kershaw, 14 games started. In the NLDS, 9 starts, 4.01 ERA. NLCS, 5 starts, 5.58 ERA. So there's a problem there. There's a problem there, clearly.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if he can dominate game 1 of the series, it's going to be tough for Arizona. That's what I'll say.
Right, but like we said, Clayton Kershaw has a history of when the lights go up and the game is on, the lights go in his eyes, and then suddenly he's blind, and suddenly he starts throwing the ball all over the place.
It is. It's the baseball equivalent of bringing a knife to a gunfight.
You want to talk about the other series?
Yeah, let's talk Cubs win Washington.
Well, this is a classic series from a crapshoot standpoint. So I would say that the Cubs are not the same team as last year. Their pitching is not as dominant as last year. I think their offense is in trouble, to be honest with you. And Chris Bryant's not the same player. So Anthony Rizzo's been striking out a lot. So I think here
are going to be the questions. Ready? 1, how does the Cubs offense do, as you were going on, Nick? 2, how does Bryce Harper perform in this series? I mean, he spent a lot of time out with an injury. Does that mean, is he going to struggle at the plate, or is he going to be the Bryce Harper we all know?
All right. Well, I'm going to give you an answer to the injury situation. Okay. And this is how the postseason works. No one gives a fuck if you're injured or not. So
I know.
Basically,
Kirk Gibson.
Right. So the answer is no one gives a fuck. So basically, he's going to come in. He's going to play with high adrenaline, whether he's injured or not. And I think he's going to come out and put up a fight. And I think this Cubs pitching is weak. So I think he's going to do some fist pumping and dancing on these pitches.
Yeah, I think I said this on the Sunday.
What kind of dance, though? Is it like a soft shoe dance or a tap dance or maybe even a Cossack dance?
He's going to do the Charleston.
Here we go. He's going to be doing the worm in the end zone. Sorry, we're breaking off from every commercial we've seen on TV.
But like I said on Sunday, I foresee us having new World Series champions. I say Cubs go out this round.
Wow,
I agree.
That is a bold prediction, though. I mean, granted they're not the world beaters they were last year.
I think the Cubs had the ability to take a game or two. I think this goes 4 or 5 games, but I still see Washington pulling it off.
I think Washington's a very dominant NL East team. People really wrote them off, but I just think they're a dominant team, and it could be their time to get to that World Series this year.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think we talked, like I said on Sunday, Washington's my pick for the NL team for the World Series.
Do you think they're kind of almost like under the radar from at least nobody's picking them to? People are really sleeping on the Nets.
I agree that they're under the radar because no one's talking about them.
I mean, what I'm saying about LA, everyone's saying about Washington because Washington also has its fair share of struggling in the NLDS, NLCS round. But I mean, if LA and Washington both pull it off, somebody's World Series drought's going to end.
By the way, the one guy you got to watch, and he's going to be pitching in, what is it, Game 1? I think. Who's pitching Game 1? Oh, they didn't announce it. Is it Strasburg? Who's pitching in Game 1?
Let me see. Because it's either Strasburg or Scherzer.
Well, Scherzer has the neck injury, so they don't know when he's pitching.
Oh, that's right. It might be Strasburg.
They just say he will pitch in this series at some point. They just don't know when.
Let's see.
Oh, it's Strasburg. It's Strasburg versus Hendricks. Yeah.
By the way, guys, update, because since we're sitting around talking about the playoffs, as of these words coming out of my mouth, it is the top of the second in Houston, and Astros already have a 2-0 lead.
That doesn't surprise me. Boston's getting dominated. I didn't expect anything less.
I expected it to go like 4 games, but right now I'm thinking it's a possible sweep.
See, that's what happens when you play big boy baseball, folks.
Yeah.
I think Boston is a big underdog in this series, and Verlander, who came out and looked like the Verlander of the Tigers the other day, I mean, my God.
You have to be the luckiest man in the world to be Justin Verlander, just by the by. Seriously, not only does he make a lot of money.
Don't say it. I know what you're going to say.
His wife.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew you were going to go there.
I know, but I'm not leering. I'm jealous, is what I am.
You're stating the obvious to every guy out there.
I know.
You're listening to the Unspoken Podcast, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. Unfortunately, that's a bad transition into what we're going to talk about next.
Yes, it is, actually. Very unfortunate. Thanks for leaving me out to dry, Albano.
I threw you under the bus.
Maybe I can fix this. Maybe we're going to scoop this out of the ground.
Yeah, I guess that could work as a segue.
Right.
We're going to scoop the crap out of the ground and move it to somewhere else.
Context is necessary. So, ladies and gentlemen, do you know what your Cam Newton's been saying lately? I ask because during practice this week, and enlighten me, the Panthers' record this year is what?
Let me see. I think they're aren't they 2-2?
I'll tell you in a second. They are 3-1.
3-1. No, they're 3-1. They're playing. It's a 3-1 team and a 3-1 team. Carolina and Detroit this week.
Okay, so during their boilerplate press conferences, Cam Newton gets up there, and a female reporter, Jordan Rodriguez, her name is, and she went up there, and she's obviously very, very researched, very, 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 very literate in football, as she should be. So she asked him about routes and all these detailed questions, and he kind of looks at her and says, It's funny. It's funny that a female is asking all these questions about routes.
By the way, I have some context. If you want to hear the apology, I have it. If you want the audio,
okay.
But finish the point, Nick, and then I'll get to the context of the.
I actually have the audio of him saying his thing.
Oh, the actual insult, you mean?
Yeah.
All right, play the insult, and then I'll let Nick make the point of the insult.
Okay, so let me play the audio of Cam Newton saying his little insult. It might start in the middle of the question, so let's see.
Does that give you a little bit of an enjoyment to see them kind of touch people?
It's funny to hear females talk about routes.
It's sad that we can only play audio because I think his facial expression says more of what's going on, because he smirks before he makes the comment, and then he has this weird grin on his face, wide smile, teeth showing, where he's like, that's funny hearing a female talk about routes.
About what?
What?
Routes. He said it like routes.
Like he's Dave Chappelle doing fucking Rick James.
But
still, I mean,
what an asshole!
Do we live in 1956? I mean, what kind of horrible, awful misogynist are you that you have to fucking do that?
Because Cam Newton's an asshole. You know his reputation.
I didn't think his reputation included misogyny.
Well, wait a minute. I'll give you more context. I was listening to Satellite, to some of the sports channels, and they were talking about this today. And
this is his apology?
No, not yet. Another point I want to make before the apology, that his reputation follows him all the way back to college, if you remember. Got kicked out of Florida for stealing a laptop, allegedly. And then I think something in Auburn where he got benched for not doing whatever. And so he's got a bad reputation.
But I think I understand where Nick Federa is coming from in that you would think he would mature. You would think once he got to the NFL, something would kick in and he'd mature, but I guess not.
There are increasingly, amounts of female sports writers, and you and I, Tom, we met Kim Martin,
right?
And she is probably one of the smartest people when it comes to sports in general that I've ever seen in my life.
She's the new. Wait a minute.
I haven't checked Twitter recently. I don't know what she was. I don't know what she was saying about this, but one can only imagine.
She's the Giants writer for Newsday, right?
She just took a job as the Bills beat writer in the Buffalo Herald, I think it is.
Oh, because I remember originally she used to write for Newsday as the Giants writer.
Yeah, that's she was working on.
I thought she was working the Jets beat.
Newsday.
No, she was doing the Giants.
She was doing Giants beat.
She was Newsday's writer when we met her last semester.
Yeah, which I was going to say, she was at Newsday only a few months ago when we met her. I didn't know she took a job at Buffalo now.
I mean, it's bad enough that these women have to constantly, deal with the leering but now you got to, or getting called a bitch if you ask,
or body shaming,
tough questions, but you have to constantly prove that you know more. It's like Boys Club. What's the password? Sweat. That's not the password. We changed it last week.
Let me make a point to that point you just made in context. So a lot of athletes, not just the NFL players, don't like the media. So in their mind, they think they know more than the media does. Now,
well, who doesn't hate the media these days?
Oh, wait a second. That wasn't the point. That
I know. I'm just saying.
The context point I'm trying to make is that these reporters, it's their job to kind of rip the football players or any athlete, NBA, MLB, NHL, whoever you want to say. They wouldn't be doing their job unless they ripped the players apart for their performance. But in essence, these guys don't like the media because they feel like they just purposely come after them. So in their mind, they're like, well, why would I want to deal with these assholes?
That wasn't even warranted, though, because she wasn't going after him.
I'm not saying he was. I'm not saying he was. But I'm saying in their minds, they have to deal with the media spewing out crap 95% of the time.
And you can't even play it off as a joke.
I'm not.
He was kidding.
Oh, no, not you, Nick.
Yeah.
That was Cam's thing. There was supposedly some defense that Cam meant it as a joke. But it's like, as I said, when you hear that tone of voice and you actually see him smirking and everything, that wasn't a fucking joke.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying the people have been trying to defend him as, he was just making a joke. He was just making a joke. That's not a joke. He really, really, really meant it.
He meant it. And I guess you could say in context that the Dannon bomb hit him.
Oh, yeah. And
didn't he lose his sponsor already?
Yeah, he lost Dannon, and Nike is apparently thinking of dropping him.
Well, so let's give some context. Now I have the apology, and I'm going to ask you guys afterwards. Keep this question in mind. Do you think this is sincere or he did it for attention? Now let's take a listen.
Yeah.
Careful though. I understand that my word choice was extremely degrading and disrespectful to women. And to be honest, that was not my intention. And if you are a person who took offense to what I said, I sincerely apologize to you. I'm a man who tries to be a positive role model in my community and tries to use my platform to inspire others. And I take ownership to everything that comes with that. And what I did was extremely unacceptable. I'm a father to 2 beautiful daughters. And at their age, I try to instill in them that they can do and be anything that they want to be. And the fact that during this whole process, I've already lost sponsors and countless fans, I realized that the joke is really on me. And I've learned a valuable lesson from this. And to the young people who see this, I hope that you learn something from this as well. Don't be like me. Be better than me. And to the reporters, to the journalists, to the moms, super moms, to the daughters, the sisters, and the women all around the world, I sincerely apologize and hope that you can find the kindness in your heart to forgive me. Thank you.
All right. I got to say something.
Wait, no, I have something to say.
Me too.
All right. I got to say something because there's something that bothered me in that statement, okay? First of all, why are you talking about moms, okay? I'm so lost on that statement. Second of all, I don't give a fuck if you lost your sponsors or not. You're an idiot. And third, watch what you fucking say out of your mouth.
Also, I'm sorry, I don't think it was sincere because, that wasn't Cam talking. That was him, that was one of the PR people.
That was
putting
written.
together an apology.
That was a written apology.
I'm surprised there weren't strings and some PR guy's fist crammed up his ass.
Well, probably not. We can't tell in front of the camera, but probably behind the scenes.
You know what's even worse?
Yeah.
You know what's even worse?
What?
What?
That I'm looking, obviously for context because people can't see the video. He's like, he has that weird half smile that he does while he's doing it.
That's how you can tell he's lying. You know how some people have kind of a tell when they're lying, like if their voice gets higher or if their eyes start to dart around.
Right.
That's his tell. That's his
right.
tell.
I just, what's it called? And the way it was going all off about that, it was a weird apology, and it's just, no. Like you said, it was a written apology. Also, by the way, during the apology, he said he's a father to 2 girls. Is that correct?
I almost blew it over on this side.
Yeah.
Like, how could you, as the father of 2 girls, make a fucking comment like that? That's...
About women of all stature.
If somebody said that to your daughters, you would haul off and kick the 7 shades of shit out of them.
Jesus. But my point is that, first of all, like you just said, you have daughters for crying out loud. What, did you even take that into account when you were thinking about making the statement to that female reporter? No, because no athlete does.
They never do. Ever. Ever. Ever, ever, ever.
There are people, I'm looking at comments right now to see how people are defending this. People are saying he meant it as a compliment.
There's nothing to defend. He's an asshole. I don't care how good of a quarterback he is or not. When you're an asshole, you're an asshole.
By the way, I can't find which one it was, which one of the original posts it was, because, I follow a bunch of social media accounts for all these sports outlets, so I don't remember which outlet I was looking at the comments of, but one of them said, you're only coming after him for this comments because, of course, he's black.
All right, wait a second. I have to clarify something from before. It's not Dannon, it's Oikos Greek yogurt, not Dannon. Sorry, go ahead.
No. That's Dannon owns them.
Okay. No, I just wanted to clarify that in case people didn't know.
So you're technically right.
So okay. I'm sorry to bring it up, but that was one of the comments I saw. Somebody was like, "Oh, you're only coming after him because he's a black man," and I'm like,
"Oh, you know what? Wait a minute. I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm sick of that shit where people are saying, well, you can't go after him and you can't go after any other black athlete because that's racist. No, everyone should be treated the same way. I don't give a shit.
I said this 2 weeks ago, didn't I?
Yes, and I agree with you that you're a white athlete, you're a green, a blue, an orange, an athlete, whoever you are. I don't give a shit who you are.
Well, as I was going to say, well, if this is a sexist comment, two wrongs don't make a right.
Exactly.
I don't know. You know how much I hate to play. Oh well, if he was, the whole race thing, because honestly, I do think that black quarterbacks do get a lot harder time than white quarterbacks do. However, in this situation, it does not apply.
Like I said, two wrongs don't make a right. It's not okay to be racist, and it's not okay to be sexist. Why can't we figure this out in 2017?
Because athletes think they can do what they want.
But when is it over? When has it not been like that, though?
No, but that's my point. It's like at this point, as time moves on, can we move on too? It's like, how are we still talking about this, in other words?
We are the same uncultured Neanderthals we have always been. It's been like that for tens of thousands of years. The only thing is our phones are smarter. We're just dumber.
Good point, actually.
Yeah. You're listening to the Unspoken Podcast by the Unspoken Podcast Network. By the way, guys, before we get into anything else, I just got some quick breaking news, two little small football items. On the Giants front end, Weston Richburg and Paul Perkins will not be available this Sunday against the Chargers.
Big loss.
And on the Minnesota Vikings end, Sam Bradford actually just did an interview, and basically he said his knee feels so much better than it did 2 weeks ago. It feels, he feels brand new again, basically.
So he used Gorilla Glue instead of Crazy Glue to keep that thing together.
Yeah, pretty much.
Took the words right out of my mouth on that one.
Pretty much. All right. So, boys, is it time yet?
Do you hear what I hear?
Oh, no.
Do you want me to? Are we ready?
Uh-oh.
Take us down.
All right. It's time. It is time. All right, boys. Do you hear what I hear?
Could it be?
Is it time?
I think it might be.
The Unspoken Podcast now takes a trip to the circus that is the New York Knicks.
We're back again. Grab your popcorn, grab your peanuts, and walk into the arena that smells faintly of urine. It's the New York Knicks circus.
And don't forget to pick up, it's a figurine, and it's James Dolan, and he's in the guillotine.
Probably no. He'd be in the guillotine. He'd probably be in the wrong way. Ass first.
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
All right, let's talk about it. What are we referring to this week? Well, instead of going... Actually, here's the better thing. Instead of going to the circus, we're still going to the circus, but we're taking a different route. We're not driving. We're not flying in a plane. We're taking a subway.
Walking.
All right. So I think I sent this story to Nick, right? I sent this to you?
Yeah, you sent it to me through...
And you almost went off the deep end.
You could not see me, but I was literally holding my sides in because I was about to fall out of my wheelchair and bust a rib laughing.
Okay, so I'm going to give the context since I found the story. So basically what happened is FS1, who is looking to do advertisements. Now, for every company, radio, TV, news media, you'll see them advertised on subways and buses. So FS1 decided to, on a New York subway, which is normal until you see the context of the advertisement, they decided to do an advertisement for basketball, which they don't really cover, but they decided to put Tim Hardaway and Joakim Noah on the front of one of their subways, painted it orange and blue to look like the Knicks, and on the front, over the two bodies, it says hopeless. And that's not the last thing. Now, if you go inside the subway, there's 3 seats that they took a picture of. One set that it's the regular subway seats. They're painted orange and blue. And on the seat backs, the first one says, "Sit here if you're hopeless." The second one says, "The high point of the last 25 years was the movie Eddie." And the third back is a jersey of Joakim Noah's 13.
And, of course, Joakim Noah got suspended last year when the Knicks really didn't need a suspension after freaking everything else is going wrong.
So I'm going to pose a question here.
Okay.
Slanderous or not slanderous?
Accurate.
Besides accuracy. Ignore the accuracy for a second. Is this slander or is it not slander?
Well, let me get more into it. Because here's the part that everyone is missing. On the other side, there was another side to the question. There was another side to the campaign, and it was a side that was basically a hopeful side. And it included such things as pretty much a picture of Kristaps Porzingis.
Oh, I see that. Yeah. Okay.
Another side that said, "So long, Phil." Another one that said Porzingis was designed in a lab. One was like, "Sit here if you blame Phil."
Kristaps Porzingis is a unicorn sent back in time. Show us how basketball will be played in the future.
Exactly, that one too. That one was great. So it was basically because that's the thing. I originally thought this was probably for Undisputed or something because
so did I. I thought also,
counterpoint.
I thought it was also for the morning show that they're doing it.
Colin Howard?
What was it for?
Well, I think it's because their new morning show is in New York. So I thought it was an advertisement for that.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So they just bought it just to buy it?
I that's what I originally thought it was for, but there's no advertisement showing the new show. So that's why I thought they were doing it in a New York market, going after a New York team, because I thought...
First of all, advertise the show that you want us to watch.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's what I didn't understand. When I first saw this, I said, oh, maybe it's that they're advertising that new morning show with Nick Wright and Chris Carter. But there's no advertisement. It's just a blatant attack on the Knicks.
Here's the thing. I mean, it's once again, everyone is focusing on the one side, which is like, the Joakim Noah side and the everything is, hopeless side. Everyone's focused on that. Everyone's calling that, slander and stuff. But even though people are calling it slander, can't say it's not true.
It's true, but at the same time...
on the other hand, nobody's paying attention to the hopeful side with promoting Kristaps Porzingis and saying goodbye to Phil Jackson and everything. So it's like, it's not necessarily slander if you're trying to do a two-sided kind of debate thing.
And they just never showed the other side.
Right.
All right.
That's manipulation.
But you have a problem because you're not... First of all, what are you promoting by doing this? I guess you're promoting the channel, maybe, but... First of all,
that's where I'll be fair. That's where I'll be fair and say if you're going to do something like this, promote the show or promote.
You have another technical issue also, which is, and a lot of people are not going to think this issue. I happen to because I think very technically about things sometimes. So, the issue you have is a license issue actually with the New York Knicks because you have to get permission to say that type of stuff if you're going to use a team. So that's where the issue lies.
Oh, I'm sure, but I honestly though, I mean, we're big on media ethics and because that's what we're
a class we're taking this semester.
The class this semester kind of pertains to that.
But
but here's the thing.
What?
If they did that, And it went to Dolan. It's like, can we do something like this? How much you want to bet? Dolan would say no.
It would probably be more bad publicity if he did.
Right.
And that he doesn't need.
Right, I understand that, but at the same time, now, do I think Jim Dolan deserves that for the way he's been running his franchise? Of course. But at the same time, you can't slander a franchise.
You can say though that you had the positive message on the other side. They just didn't show the other side. Plus,
right.
I mean, if they had, say, just as for instance, if they had, say, printed Jim Dolan's face on the toilets inside that train, then you could say, yeah, I think they're sticking it to Dolan and they're sticking it to the Knicks. But they didn't do that. You cannot pee on Jim Dolan's face. So therefore,
also, that wouldn't be a golden toilet.
No, it definitely wouldn't. No. But the point I'm trying to make is that if Fox or FS1 was ever trying to get the NBA in the future, they're not doing themselves any favors.
Nick has something. What are you doing, Nick?
A what?
No, because you were like, hold on.
No, nothing.
Oh, okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying, though?
I do, but it's like what Nick said. It's like there was a lot of not showing the other side. So I can't believe I'm going to say this, but there might have been some manipulation going on.
I guess you could say there was some manipulation going on, but you're hurting the network because if the NBA tries to say, oh, let's go to FS1, who do you think is going to say no and who's going to have a big percentage of that agreement?
I know, Jimmy Dolan.
And they're going to say, fuck no, they just insulted me. Too bad, get lost.
A man like that should not have the power he wields.
Yeah, I agree.
But at the same time,
it's like giving Excalibur. It's like giving Excalibur to a stray cat. It is. Here, hold this.
Oh my God! But I don't know. Long story short, with this thing, I think that it was a bad decision on FS1's part. Now, I can say that ESPN and FS1 are two completely different networks from the standpoint of ESPN is debate. I guess let me take that back. I guess you can say they both are debate, but FS1 tries to hit people sometimes where they shouldn't, below the belt, and that kills them.
ESPN, I'm sorry to use the wrestling reference, but ESPN is very golden era 80s WWF, and FS1 is the Attitude Era.
Basically, yeah.
In terms of ethics.
I agree.
Yeah. I'd have to agree on that one. But still, we have more basketball. We have more basketball matters to attend to.
Oh, boy.
You're listening to the Unspoken Podcast, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network, and it's time for our final topic of the day. Nick Morgeson, you are the NBA expert here, so please tell us about this new All-Star Game format that's going on.
So, because the NBA is trying to save face, and I'm going to make a quick comparison to the NFL because this is where they both apply. The All-Star Games are a bunch of shitholes that we shouldn't play anymore, and they should just give the players a bunch of days off instead of playing the All-Star Game because there's no incentive to play it. The All-Stars are really not All-Stars anymore. They're shooting threes. They're shooting 20 for 25 from three-point. Well, I shouldn't say that. 3 for 25 from three-point range like Carmelo Anthony did in the All-Star Game. And now, because we feel we have to make the All-Star Game more entertaining, we decided, guess what? We're going to scrap the East and the West, and we're going to take the two leading vote getters, and they're going to be allowed to pick who they want on their teams.
So like the Home Run Derby?
No, the Home Run Derby is still ALNL.
It's still ALNL, but you have captains and you get to pick your...
No. In this, you can essentially mix East and West players on each team.
So it's creating it's like basketball in elementary school.
I don't know if you remember back in the day, the old-fashioned like kickball game or basketball game where everyone lines up in a line and there's two captains and then they pick people until they get to the end. That's what this is now.
So it's like building a super team out of Legos.
Basically, yeah.
Basically. And yes, I remember those days, Nick. I was always picked last for games like those.
Oh, I remember those days. Oy.
I wasn't picked at all. I was just in the back making fun of everybody. Because I'm just that kind of an asshole.
But what's going to be interesting is, and they made a good point. So let's say that Kevin Durant and LeBron James are the captains. And are either of them going to pick Kyrie Irving or Russell Westbrook?
Oh, my God.
That's my point. And long story short, and I'll let you guys comment on this, this is leading, because they're doing it in the All-Star game, taking away the conferences for the All-Star game. I say in the next 2 to 3 years, this move is going to lead to getting rid of conferences in the NBA. Point blank.
What?
No way. No way.
I want a bookmark right here. I want a bookmark on this.
All right. So, all right, we will keep this date in mind. We will keep this day and this time in mind. And this is what? This is Friday, October 6th at 3:07 p.m. We are going to make sure that this is like, we remember this forever and ever. And if in the next 2 or 3 years they don't, we know what you are going to eat the biggest crow we can find.
You're going to be eating a murder of crows. But why is it that you believe that this is going to magically do away with conferences? I don't get the thought process on that.
The reason I think it's going to do away with conferences, and I think the All-Star game is proving my point, is because the East is weak, and they need the West to mix with the East to make it even.
Now, I agree with you on that point. I also agree with you on that there's, as much as Adam Silver is adamantly denying it, there is a super team problem in the NBA.
Which LeBron started.
Right. But also, I don't want to see Cleveland Cavalier Golden State Warrior finals for the next 10 years or whatever team that Steph Curry and LeBron James go to. And I don't want to see them play in the NBA finals for the next, 10 straight years.
I mean, it's not like baseball where you want to see rivalries for 3 or 4 straight years. The NBA, you need a little change up here and there.
I mean, you do need change, but it's one of those things where it's like conferences are a part of sports. And
no, but the way I'm looking at it is, if you remove the conferences in the NBA, then you can maybe see if the West is a better conference of teams, then they deserve to have more teams in. Look at it from the standpoint of the West could technically have 12 teams in almost every year, when the East should have like 5, maybe. Look at the records.
But still, it's kind of ridiculous. I mean, when there's a super team problem, that's, I think, one of the issues. First, that's one of the issues, too. But I don't know. Conferences are a part of sports in general. I don't see it happening. I'm sorry, Nick.
I can't see that kind of drastic measure happening. I can see them taking preventative measure to curb the super team, but to me,
they've already tried.
They've already tried, and they've done, and it's done little.
They tried to adjust the salary cap, which didn't work.
Well, what was the original salary cap, and what is it now?
I don't know the exact numbers offhand, but I know that they tried to adjust it, and it is working a little bit because it's too expensive to have 3 All-Stars on your roster. But I would say that they need to move this number so people can't have 3 All-Stars on a team.
But still, I mean, I can't see them making that move because to me, that's like, I need a haircut. Chop off my head.
But wait a minute. Look at the Celtics. Look at the Rockets. Look at the Warriors. I don't even count the Cavaliers as a super team anymore, to be honest with you.
Really?
No, because Kyrie Irving's gone.
I guess, but it's like whatever team LeBron James goes to, he becomes a one-man show.
Yeah, but who else is there?
Right, but it's like for that length of time that they have LeBron James, it's like, oh, suddenly he's a one-man show. And we don't, even though I said in the past, one man doesn't make a team, it seems like that's not the case when it comes to LeBron James.
I guess we all know the savior is Derrick Rose in Cleveland, though. I'm completely being delusional, but you get me.
Did I miss that meeting?
What?
Damn. And they probably brought out cheap store brand Oreos too.
Well, yeah, the non-generic brand.
Hydrox cookies.
Whatever.
Fake ass Oreos.
But basically, long story short, the NBA is trying to do many things to improve its league. They're trying to fix the freaking draft so people don't tank. So now I think it's like the bottom 3 or 4 teams now have a chance, the same percentage chance now to earn the number 1 overall pick, which doesn't stop teams from tanking. It makes it worse, actually.
Yeah, that actually does make it worse. Good job, NBA.
Good job.
I like these 2-way contracts, though. I think that's an improvement because now you can have players from your developmental league up to the NBA. That's the one improvement I like.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of fair, but I'm sorry. What's it called? The 20, how all the bottom 4 teams still have the same percentage chance of getting number 1 pick. I'm just, no, wrong.
Wow. Oh, by the way, speaking of interesting news about the Rockets, ex-Rockets coach Kevin McHale has come out and said James Harden is not a leader.
Really?
That's why Kevin McHale doesn't have a job anymore.
I was going to say, like, does he mean in general? Does he mean on the court or off the courts?
A leader usually means for on the court, usually.
Okay, well, then, yeah, that's why he doesn't have a job anymore, considering James Harden was one of the best players in the NBA last fucking season. All the fucking points he was putting up.
If it wasn't for Westbrook and the triple-doubles, he might have been the MVP.
Probably. He would have been.
Well, put it to you this way. Do you smell a burning bridge? Because I smell a burning bridge.
I don't just smell a burning fridge. I smell a burning fridge and I smell a burning freezer. The whole unit's on fire.
Oh, God. Jesus.
Jesus, all I did was say burn bridge. All you did. What did we do? Drop napalm on Viet Cong here? Didn't need to be that much fire.
Jesus.
We dropped the bucket of gasoline.
Oh, God. Oh, good Lord.
All right.
I guess you can throw freezer burn on top of that too.
Oh, geez. Oh, look, it's the New York Knicks.
Oh my God.
It's an accurate representation of the New York Knicks.
Let's put it this way: as being in New York, doing this podcast, we don't have a lot of good teams to really look forward to. The Mets stink. The Yankees are kind of The Jets and the Giants suck really bad. And our basketball teams are really bad too. So what do we have to lean on lately?
Making fun of everything.
Yeah, we've basically become the sports world's equivalent of Statler and Waldorf in the Muppet Theater.
Yes. My dream would come true.
Oh, shit.
What do they call that? They call it the medium pass. Why? Because it wasn't short and it wasn't well done.
Oh, God, this is bad comedy theater.
Well, exactly. It's Statler and Waldorf.
God.
Well, you know what? We do need... Let's end... As much as we end on a happy note, and as much as we haven't talked too much about the football, other than the Cam Newton and his sexism thing, we didn't do this last week because of reasons why. We were just busy, I guess, and it was overlooked. But you know what we need to do? We need to do some predictions.
Okay.
We got to do the rapid rundown.
Rapid rundown.
Let's go. All right, so let me pull up some music here. Get the games in front of you guys. Get the Week 5.
I got it.
Games in front of you. You're good, Nick? All right, Nick Videra, you good?
Hang on.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Shut up!
Okay.
All right, I got it.
Filler music at its best.
I'm actually trying to find some, what's it called? Some Stan Spence music. All right. Are we ready, boys?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. It's time for this edition of the Rapid Rundown. All right. Let's start things off with the 1 o'clock games. First of all, Cincinnati. It's the Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals. Who you got?
I am taking the Bengals by 7.
Bengals by 7. Okay, Nick Morganson.
Well, I wasn't really looking at scores, but basically I would say Buffalo doesn't have a shit chance in this game, to be honest with you, because their quarterback situation, and I would say Andy Dalton looks really good right now on the upswing, so I'd take Cincinnati.
I will also take Cincinnati on this one. All right. Let's just go right to it. The LA Chargers and the New York Giants. If the Giants do not win this week, they better tank the whole season if they're not going to already. And Ben McAdoo better be fucking fired.
I'm going to pick the Giants to win by 7. I know I have to. I can beat up on my own team as much as I can, but I just can't do 0-5 to them. Although they might do it to themselves, I will not inflict that wound. I shall stay my hand.
Okay, so Nick, you might want to not have a heart attack when I tell you what my decision is.
He's picking the Chargers. Oh, no.
It's going to be the Chargers are going to win in New York, and the Giants are going to be 0-5 because the Giants cannot stop the running game. Melvin Gordon is one of the best in the running game. Keenan Allen is one of the best short to long distance receivers in the game. They're not going to be able to stop him. And I just think the Giants are a mess offensively. So, yes, the Giants are going 0-5.
Well, if that happens, all right. If that happens, Ben McAdoo should get fired. They need to replace that whole offensive line, and they got to pick Eli's successor, all within the offseason.
So what's your choice?
Wait, what's my choice?
Yeah, you didn't pick.
Oh, no, I said the Giants.
Oh, you said the Giants. Okay.
I said the Giants, and I said if they don't win this week, all that shit has to happen.
Okay.
All right. And speaking of a dumpster fire, let's go to another dumpster fire of the game. It's the New York Jets and the Cleveland Browns.
Ooh. I'll start with this one. Okay. Let's see. The Jets should be tanking, and somehow they're 2-2, which is a really big shocker to me.
The Browns were supposed to have a better year, and they're 0-4.
Yeah, I'm a little confused, and Josh McCown somehow remembered how to throw the football. So, this is a tough one, because I could see the Jets going into to Cleveland and losing, but I just think Cleveland is a dumpster fire. So I'm going to take the Jets, but I think it's going to be close.
It's going to be a close game. It's going to be a low-scoring game. But I'll go with Jets.
I'll go. It's going to be a close game. Over under probably 3.
Who's your pick, Nick? Though
I will take the Jets.
You'll also take the Jets. So we're all in agreement on that. Carolina and Detroit. Interesting note here. Both teams are allowing 17.5 points per game so far this season, tied for 4th in the league. But after Cam Newton's comments today, I hope Detroit wipes the floor with Cleveland. I mean, Carolina.
Pick?
Detroit is my pick.
Well, I'm going with Detroit.
I'm trying to make this as sensible as possible, leaving that situation away from picking this game. But that's bad. But if I had to take it from a standpoint of looking at the actual game, Detroit had a really bad loss already this season from the refs taking a touchdown away, which I thought was unfortunate, or else they'd have a better record this season.
Or else they'd be undefeated.
They'd be undefeated. And I think Matt Stafford actually, for his $155 fucking million contract, is playing a lot. Who looks a lot better than I thought he would. He's not throwing as many picks as I thought he would. I like Golden Tate, Marvin Jones Jr. or Senior, whoever that is. And I just think that they're a better team. I also like Theo Riddick. I think they're a much more set team. Kelvin Benjamin is a question mark also coming into Sunday. So I'm taking Detroit.
And Nick, you're also taking Detroit, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're all in agreement of Detroit. Imagine if after Cam Newton's comments now they're going to end up losing. They're going to be out of the playoffs, losing their spots to the Falcons and Browns.
Playoffs? You're talking about playoffs?
I played that sound, but you know what? The music's playing, so. Speaking of dumpster fire, hey, another dumpster fire game. It's San Fran and Indy. Wow, what a week in the NFL.
This is a toss-up game, to be honest with you.
It really is a toss-up game. I'm going to go Indy. I'm going to go Indy by 7.
I am going to go Indy by 14.
All right. I'm going to go against the crowd again, and I'm going to pick San Francisco going into Indy and winning. And I'll tell you why. Because Jacoby Brissett looks like the crappiest quarterback in the entire league since he was traded from the Patriots. He got knocked down and almost knocked out last week. And I just think Indianapolis is bad. They're not throwing the football, so they're not taking advantage of Moncrief and those guys. So
not taking advantage of T.Y. Hilton, one of the best receivers in the game.
Well, T.Y. Hilton, Moncrief, and all those guys.
Yeah.
And I don't think they look good. And Pierre Garçon's actually having a decent season, being the lead wide receiver for San Francisco. So
it's a fair point.
I'm taking what?
You said you're going to take San Francisco.
Yeah, I'm taking San Fran on the road.
I was going to say this might be the game with the biggest question mark. I feel like this is like my weakest pick, San Fran Indy, because that's just a toss-up. Now I go to a game between Tennessee and Miami, and this one I'm just going to say Tennessee right away.
Yeah, Tennessee. There is no way that Cutler Cigarette Boy is going to be able to get past the swirling vortex he finds himself in.
And if they lost to the Jets, what do you think they're going to do against Tennessee?
Well,
although Tennessee doesn't have Marcus Mariota, all
right. So here's what I think. Okay, first of all, I think this is a toss-up game because this is the battle of crappy quarterbacks. So even though Jay Cutler saved the team from getting shut out on 0-0s against the Jets, but this is so tough. I think I have to take Miami because Mariota is out, and they're going to have to depend on DeMarco Murray all game to run the football. So I got to take Miami at home.
All right, Arizona and Philadelphia. This one is going to be a good game. This one's going to be a close game. But I think the power of Larry Fitzgerald and Carson Palmer come through once again for a third consecutive week, and I'm going to say Arizona.
I am taking Philly. I am taking Philly by 7, and I know how much it pains me to say it. Believe me, I've got acid reflux rising in the back of my throat as these words leave my mouth. But I do believe that the Philly can pull it off.
Wow, this is tough. What would I say here? I think Patrick Peterson is too much on the outside to stop the wide receivers like Alshon Jeffrey and those guys. I'm not a Carson Palmer guy at all. I think he gets way too much credit for what he does. And also, Mr. I'm the genius coach of the whole NFL, and Bruce Arians, who I think is not the most genius coach in the NFL, which I don't know how he keeps getting stuck with that reputation. I'm not a big Larry Fitzgerald guy either. He doesn't get the ball thrown a lot to him. I think Carson Palmer doesn't take advantage of that enough. So and Brown is out for them also. So I got to take Philadelphia.
All right. And the last 1 o'clock game, it's Jacksonville and Pittsburgh. I'm sorry. I can't pick Jacksonville.
Pittsburgh.
All right, 4 o'clock games. We got Seattle and we got the LA Rams. LA Rams are actually off to a 3-1 start. I am impressive. Meanwhile, Seattle is only 2-2.
Let's see. Seattle, top defense. Russell Wilson actually looks pretty good, believe it or not, when he's not really good at the long-distance throw down the field. That's not really his game. Sammy Watkins has been a surprise in L.A., Cooper Kupp's been a surprise.
Todd
Gurley's been a major surprise.
Not a major surprise, but Todd Gurley, he's the freaking running back. He's one of the best running backs. He could be a top 5 running back by the end of the season.
But I'm saying having all the touchdowns has been a big surprise.
Okay, that's fair.
This is tough. The game is in L.A. where they draw no fans whatsoever in that soccer stadium. So I think I got to take Seattle just because I think the defense is stronger, and I don't think Goff. And am I saying the right quarterback there?
Yeah, Goff.
Okay, because I'm looking at two LA teams. I don't think Goff is good enough, so I think the Seattle defense is going to run all over him and take him down. So I got Seattle.
I see the Rams actually putting up somewhat of a fight. It's only going to be a 3 or 7 point difference, but I'm going to pick Seattle as well.
I'm going to go with Rams by 10.
Oh,
really?
Okay.
I think Gurley can be running wild.
All right. You think Gurley's going to outmatch the Legion of Boom?
That's a gutsy pick right there.
Yeah.
I know, and I'm basically preparing myself to eat crow, but...
Baltimore and Oakland. Oakland doesn't have Carr. Carr's going to be out for a few weeks due to injury. I think that's going to impact the team. I think it will. I'm going to go Baltimore.
Especially if E.J. Manuel starts. But go ahead, Nick. I'll let you go.
Yeah, I'm going Baltimore.
Yeah. All right.
Well, wait a minute. I was just going to say that E.J. Manuel, who has not won, I think, in like 6 or 7 straight starts going back to last season, you got to take Baltimore.
Yeah. Okay, here's the big prime time. Sunday afternoon matchup. It's Green Bay and Dallas. The Packers have won 6 of the last 7 meetings against the Cowboys, which includes 2 playoff games, and including one last year. Now, here's the thing. Green Bay's going to be... Now, Ty Montgomery, for some reason, supposedly is going to play or wants to play.
I don't think he's going to play.
Devontae Adams actually might play, too.
He shouldn't play either. But I think Devontae... If anyone's going to play, it should be Ty Montgomery, but not Devontae Adams.
And even if they do play, I see them getting limited, and I see all this bad shit happening to them. I'm picking Dallas.
I'm picking Dallas. I hate it, but I'm picking Dallas.
This is a tough one for me because if you saw it on, where were they, on Monday Night Football or Thursday Night Football, I think, against Chicago?
Yeah, it's Thursday night.
And they won with him and Jordy Nelson. Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson won the game single-handedly by themselves.
I'm not surprised. Jordy Nelson, people say he's overrated, but he's freaking great.
But here's what I think. And also, what's up in the air is Ezekiel Elliott. So we don't know about that either.
And he's been a big disappointment.
So, and I think Dak Prescott's not been that great, to be honest with you. He's not been the offensive quarterback that everybody wants. Now, Dallas's defense is not good either. They're both bad defenses. So, if I had to pick, since it's the battle of bad defenses, I'm going Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Nelson all the way and taking Green Bay.
All right. Okay. Sunday night game of the week. It's Kansas City and Houston. The Chiefs lead the league in yards per play with 6.78 and in rushing, 163.5 yards rushed per game.
This is a great matchup.
It is a good matchup. It's a tough defense in Houston against Kansas City and their offense, and probably the biggest surprise in the NFL this season, this young rookie named Kareem Hunt.
I'm going to pick the Chiefs because Kareem Hunt strikes again.
I'm going to agree with Nick.
This one's tough for me. Like I actually have to think about this one for a minute because there's a few reasons I can put for each side. Kareem Hunt, who's had a surprising season, we had no idea who this guy was. And you have a guy on the other side who had 5 touchdowns last week, Deshaun Watson. So
we might be seeing a matchup with the future of the NFL here.
I just think that Houston is too good in this matchup. I think Deshaun Watson is going to become a star, hopefully by the end of this season. So I got Houston.
All right. And last but not least, the Monday night game of the week, it's Minnesota and Chicago. The Vikings have dropped 14 of their past 16 road games against the Bears.
What an awful game.
Well, it's Monday Night Football. What do you expect?
That's a good point.
For my dad's sake, I'm taking the Vikings.
Yeah, for my dad's sake, I'm taking the Vikings.
I don't know who I could take here. Let's see. Mitchell Trubisky might be starting.
He is going to start, confirmed.
Oh, okay. So that's a problem right there. Cook.
Bradford might play, but even if he doesn't play...
Also, Cook, the running back, is out for basically the remainder of the season for the Vikings. This is such a bad game.
It really is.
But I feel like what's their faces? Their 2 wide receivers, their unit of Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen will come through, and the Vikings
I think that's the only thing that saves Minnesota here, and I think Minnesota's going to go into Chicago and win.
I agree. All right. Well, that's it. Those are our picks. We're sticking with them, and we're prepared to eat crow.
This
Get
is
your knives and forks out, ladies and gentlemen.
This has been an interesting week, because a lot of these games are not good, to be honest with you.
We're in bizarro world in the NFL right now.
No kidding.
We are.
All right. So that's going to wrap things up for this episode of the Unspoken Podcast. Go like us on Facebook, Twitter, and Periscope at the UDUP. Go like the Undetermined Podcast Network itself on Facebook at the UD Network and Twitter at Eminem Buzz and Eminem Breaking. Go follow Combat Mania on Facebook, Twitter, and Periscope at Combat Mania UD. We just uploaded an episode earlier today talking about all the big events that are going on in the combat sports world today, including Bellator, UFC 216, WWE Hell in a Cell, for kickboxing. We got a big weekend of combat sports ahead of us.
Wow.
Yes, indeed. And I'd like to make an announcement if I can.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm interested.
Yes, indeed. The premiere episode, I've been talking about it for a while, but the premiere episode of the Pop Culture Podcast will be coming on October 15th.
Woo!
And on that note, go follow Pop Culture on Twitter at Pop Culture UD, correct?
Yes.
Pop Culture UD on Twitter.
So we have a lot coming. I don't really want to announce the other podcast yet, because we might have to change some stuff on that, maybe. But
you will be hearing about it.
Also, next week, 40 episodes of the Unspoken Podcast. And with that, can you guys believe we're going to reach 40 episodes already?
No.
And just for you guys, it's a special episode. I will be there.
Okay. But
there.
next week, I am also going to be making a big announcement about future plans for the Unspoken Podcast, because what comes after 40? What's the next big number?
50!
So I'll be talking about some special stuff we're going to do up to that point.
Oh, God. I'm in charge of the network, and I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, nice job, boss.
Uh-oh. I guess I'm going to have to find out.
I guess I'm going to have to tell you. But so it's going to be fun. Anyways, that's going to wrap things up here. For Nick Federa, for Nick Morganson, I'm Tom Albano. We'll see you next week for episode 40. You've been listening to the Unspoken Podcast, GBC Sports Production, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. Good night, everybody. Happy weekend.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Happy weekend. Be nice to each other, damn it.